Hi there. So this video is a continuation of the last one. It'll have kind of the basic same movements, but a few things we're going to tweak and progress and still have that focus on the hip flexibility, mobility, the shoulder hip connection. We'll focus a little bit more on that, and then also spine mobility and kind of articulation and getting the spine moving nice and well. So we'll begin with laying down on our back, and you want to be in that hip, knee, second toe alignment. And if you want to have something in between your knees, a foam roller works, a block, whatever. And the block is, you don't want it to be too fat, and you also don't want it to be too skinny. So you want to maintain that neutral spine, that hip, knee, second toe alignment. A ball, also a Pilates ball works if you have that. So checking in with your hips first, finding your hip bones, and begin with inhale, arching. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling, imprinting, and moving this low back just a little bit. Inhale, arching, and exhale. If the low back feels sticky, ease into it. Everybody has a different range. So finding that range that works for you, and also don't force it. So it doesn't have to be a certain range there. So inhale, arching, exhale, imprinting. If you feel like one hip is lifted more, put a little bit more pressure on that side. You don't want to really put too much pressure so you're like forcing it and also causing any kind of discomfort. But if your hips are really off, it's kind of nice to play around with rocking back and forth with a little bit more pressure on one side or the other. All right, so from there we're going to progress into a pelvic clock. So a clock is you're going, noon is the belly button and 6 is the pubic bone, and then each hip is 3 and 9. So starting first, I like to start at 6. So I'm arching, my focus, my pressure is in 6, and then I'm coming through 7, 8, 9, 10. Like I'm kind of rolling on the outside of a clock there. Good, and then arching, and good. And something to think about here is you want your legs to stay as quiet as possible. So we really don't want the legs to move. You can, if your arms will reach, you can maybe kind of hold your legs in place as you're clocking it. So moving around there, and I'm going really pretty slow and intentionally. Let's do one more this direction. Inhale, arching, exhale, imprinting, ribs hug together, and then circling around and putting pressure into that 3 o'clock side, 4, or kind of finding that arch there. And now let's reverse at the 6. So inhaling there, exhale, and we're going to count backwards. So 5, 4, 3. So this 3 is more pressed in, kind of imprinting into that side, and then circling, opening. Good. Last 2 circles here, imprinting. And these clocks won't start out perfect, and they may never be perfect, but it's just an opportunity to move your pelvis in a little bit different way. So kind of putting that mental intention to move those little bones, activate some of those small muscles, and moving the pelvis independent of the legs. So pausing there in the center, give a couple little tilts back and forth just to reset. Adjusting the heels if you need. We're going to arc up into a bridge. So inhale to arch, exhale to peel up, vertebrae by vertebrae. Inhaling at the top, spreading the toes wide, plugging in the heels. The toes are there supporting, but we're not putting too much pressure. More on through the heels. Inhale, exhale, softening, slowly rolling down. Almost feeling like you have a little wire attached to the end of your head there, the crown of your head, and it's pulling your crown of your head away as the spine pulls the opposite direction. Inhale to arch, exhale to imprint, peeling up. Inhaling at the top, filling up the top of the lungs. Exhale, softening. Good. And if you feel any sticky spots here, go a little bit slower. Pause there, take another breath, and then continue down or up the bridge, wherever you're at. On this next one, we're going to hold at the top. And let's do a little bit of glute stability. So evenness through the upper body. And now we're going to kind of ground the standing leg, and we're going to tap the opposite leg long. So, or just tap it a little bit long, and then back to home, and then tap it wide. And then, so alternating here first, so tapping long. And as you start to kind of feel like the pelvis is stable, you can increase the range here. But at the beginning, where you're still kind of feeling out where the pelvis is in space, you can keep this nice and small. Something to think about too is as you tap wide, you want to try to keep the distance between the bottom of the ribs and the top of the hips the same. So we're not getting that tap by hiking the hip. It's more of this controlled movement. And then also while building endurance through the other leg. All right, last variation we'll do on this side, and that is an arc up. So staying through center, inhaling there, exhale to lift. And with the other exercises or the other little variations, you could breathe however you want, best facilitates that movement. Good, let's do 3 more. Ribs are expanding. As I inhale, exhale, ribs. Hug in, inhale, exhale. Last one. And from there, lifting the hips. Let's do a little roll down through center to reset everything. And if you start to feel any kind of tightness through the low back throughout any of these things, you can lower the hips or bring them to the ground, take a reset, whatever you need. So other side, since you've already seen that, you can kind of see how the side that's stable looks. So taking an inhale, exhale, tapping the heel, back into the home position, tapping wide, and I'm getting a little bit of that internal rotation through the leg as I tap wide. So, and that's what we're looking for here. We're just moving the leg in different ranges as you are stabilizing through the other leg. So really taking the opportunity to focus on what is my leg doing, what are my hips doing in space. If you need to lower down a little bit, if you feel that tightness through the low back, lower down. Heel is grounded, continuing to breathe. Let's do 1 more repetition here. And then back, finding that midline and arcing down. Inhale down, exhale to lift. Inhale, filling the back of the lungs. Hi, Finny. And lift. Inhale, exhale. Low belly draws up towards the ribs as the ribs hug in. Hi. Inhale, exhale. Holding there. Lifting the hips here. You can press into the mat, taking an inhale And then exhale, let's roll down kind of towards the right side. So the right hips are gonna lower down a little bit and then lift back up and then lower down through the left side. So the left side of the hip is gonna lower down. And you can think of the pelvis as like a teeter-totter. So we're not really hiking up one way or the other. We're just kind of lowering down. And the spine is the center of that teeter-totter, and then you're teetering or tottering down, and then back up. Last one. Down, lift, taking a big inhale, and then exhale, slowly lowering down, finding that articulation. From there, hugging the knees in, giving a little rock side to side. Sometimes it feels nice to give a kick, and I get a little crack through my sacrum, my little lower vertebrae. If that feels good to you, let's roll on up and come into quadruped. So these quadruped movements will just kind of, they're building off of the last video. So coming in, we'll do the arc through center first. And so wrists right underneath the shoulders, you're in neutral spine, head is in alignment with your spine. Taking an inhale to prepare, exhale to come up, high-fiving the ceiling. Inhale to lower down, exhale to lift. So this is a great activator of the glute, the back of the leg, that sort of thing. Doing a couple there. And as you go through these series more, you can kind of feel what you need for that day, what you need for that side of your body. Sometimes with injuries, the muscles are a little bit more apprehensive to engage. So you need to do more or kind of put a little bit more mental intention towards that. Last one, and then transitioning into circles here, opening out and around. Exhale. And so this shoulder blade, we want to really feel like it's making this connection down towards the hip that is circling. Collarbones are nice and wide. And then reversing directions, using your exhale, especially on these harder movements like this hydrant lift. So that low belly draws in and controls to lower down. So we're getting all kinds of eccentric and concentric movements here through the hips. That control of the descent. Last one. And if you need to move onto your elbows for this next one, move onto your elbows. But I'm going to stay here on my wrists. I'm going to straighten. Coming into rainbow arcs here to move through that full range of the hip socket. Inhaling, exhaling. Giving a little flick of the toe for some extra ankle movement. And foot, kind of stretch. Last one. And then from there, come in, do a little tail wag there. And now we're going to come onto our elbows and come into a bear tap here. So toes are curled underneath. This is just a little bit of stability. So inhale, exhale, holding that bear, and then lowering down. And on our elbows, it's a little bit more work through the shoulders, but that's all right. Love it. Collarbones smiling. Good. And then now from there, after this one, we're going to walk out wide. So here, wide, wide. Let's do a couple taps here. Controlling the descent. Just working the hips, the low belly in a little bit different way. Good, nice slow tap. We don't want to come crashing to the ground. So the tap is that really important control of the descent. Good, last one. And then hold at the top. See if we can have a little bit of endurance here by walking wide and walking narrow. If you need to take a tap anywhere, do so. But try and push yourself. Good. Last two. And last one. Good. Shrugging the shoulder up. Coming up onto your hands, giving a little cat-cow. And then moving over to the other side, starting with those arcs, taking an inhale, exhale, arcing up, keeping that neutral spine, so that delicious cup of espresso is not sloshing out of its cute little cup. Good, inhale, exhale, feeling that low belly draw away from the mat. And that just helps to hopefully encourage that deep abdominal engagement. Good, transitioning into circles here. Opening, circling around. Good, going nice and slow. Imagining that leg bone, that femur bone is polishing out the hip socket there. Good. Reverse directions. Inhale, filling the back of the lungs. Exhale to lift. Good. Last two here. And last one, opening and sending that leg away. Maybe give a little rock back. And then begin to arc side to side. And your head can turn here, but really want to try and keep that torso from being the initiator of the lift. It's where the glutes and the hamstrings come together. Give a little flick. Flick, good, flick, and flick. Last one, holding there, and giving a sit back. Now from here, this next one is going to be a little bit more balancy, and it might feel oddly hard. But the more times you do it, the more you'll feel more balance. And you might just kind of nail it right away. But even for people that are pretty fit or used to movement, sometimes this one is hard and they feel really off balance. So if that's the case, don't be discouraged. Just keep doing it. So onto your elbows and knees right underneath the hips. We're going to take an inhale to prepare. Neutral spine, exhale to open the knee out to the side. And then nice slow descent. Keep press up through that standing shoulder. And then now other side, inhale, exhale, opening. So it's a little bit of a hydrant lift while we're finding the stability of the shoulder connected down towards the hip and then down to the knee. So it's almost like the elbow also is pulling down towards the knee to make this square connection here. Slow descent. And then open. From there, we're gonna add on. So holding this position, straightening the leg, inner border of the foot is parallel. And now we're going to give a reach up. Inhale there. Exhale, sweeping the hand down, pressing to the outside of the leg. And the inner border of the foot is parallel there, so we're not externally rotating. Keeping that parallel position. Inhale, shoulder blade draws down. Exhale. Inhale, arching. Exhale, lift. Head can turn if your head starts to get tired. No need to look ahead. And so your head turns with the hand, with the arm. Last one. And back down. Come out of it the same way you came into it. And then hand comes there. Elbow comes there. Now opening up here, you get to kind of see it from the opposite way. And so opening up, foot is parallel. Inhale, reaching. You get that nice stretch of the side body. Exhale. You have this shoulder blade connecting, but also the top shoulder blade connecting down towards the hip. Inhale. Exhale. So it's kind of like a side plank, but more of a side quadruped. Inhale, reaching. Exhale, lift. And one side might feel way different than the other, and that's all right. And just keep coming back. Keep kind of feeling what's going on in the body. Last one. And then from there, pause, slow turn back to the mat, giving a stretch back, shrugging the shoulders up, shrugging the shoulders down. And now we'll come into a dolphin stretch. So this is a yoga pose here, but I really like it because it still gives great stability through the chest while stretching out the hamstrings and all that good stuff. And also the feet too. So taking a big inhale, elbows are right underneath the shoulders, collarbones are wide, and curling the toes, coming up, straightening the legs, but being in that straight position is not the goal. So if you feel like you can't straighten your legs all the way, that's okay. And then just giving a little pedal out here. Head is in alignment with your spine still, so it's not hanging down too much. Pedaling out, lifting up high onto your toes, dropping to one side, lifting up high, dropping to the other side, down through center, slow descent. Now coming up onto our hands, let's come into a down dog for a stretch. Taking an inhale, exhale, collarbones still wide, head is in alignment, paddling out the feet here, coming high on your tippy toes if you want to really move through that full range of your feet, and then rocking off to one side, lifting, spinning, getting that internal through one hip, external through the other. One more each side. And down. And center. And then bending the knees. Spinning around. And our last thing we'll do, we did last time, finding this position of the crab. So I think it's a crab. I don't know what it is. I always call it something different. So hands are behind you, and if you need to bring them out to the side, doing that. I'm going to have them facing behind, and I'm exaggerating, puffing up my chest forward, and then from there, let's roll around, chin nods, exaggerating that curl, and then smiling the breastbone up towards the ceiling. Round, roll, last one, holding here, taking an inhale, exhale, lifting the hips, lowering for a nice soft tap, exhale to lift, feeling like the heels are really grounded in towards the mat, but also pulling towards your tail without moving them. Now, at progressing this, so if you want to stay here, you can. But to progress, we're going to tap long, tap back down, tap long, staying on that same side so we give some endurance through the standing leg. And last 2. And last 1. Good. Coming all the way down, shaking out the wrists, giving them a little break, pulling the hand towards you, straightening the elbow, circling there, reversing, and then hands come back behind, finding that spot with your heels again, taking an inhale, exhale to lift, tap the leg long, inhale, filling the lungs, exhale, lift, inhale down, exhale, trying to keep the hips pretty parallel here. So as you extend that leg, one hip isn't dipping. Last 2. Inhale, back of the lungs, and last 1, and all the way down. Nice job. All right, shake out those arms. We can get a little side bend here, side to side, and then maybe a little twist through the upper back. Try to keep the torso stable and looking over the shoulder of the hand that's reaching behind you, and rolling the shoulders back. Nice job. All right, give me a shout if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time. Have an awesome day. Bye.